Ymir's playstyle focuses around his early game damage and his high lockdown capabilities. The strengths of this character is that he's an early game threat. His damage is very threatening early on. He has high CC throughout the whole game. His wall is one of the best abilities in the game, and he's very good at isolating enemies. Ymir's main weaknesses are focused around his safety. He's a very immobile character, and when he falls behind, he's very easy to punish. His abilities can also feel clunky at times because they do have slight delays when casted. Ymir's passive is a self buff that applies when you hit your 2, 3, or ultimate onto an enemy. To this enemy, you will deal 100% more basic attack damage, and they will do 10% less damage to you. Ymir's first ability is a wall. It increases in duration and decreases its cooldown as you level it. Reactivating this ability, you can break it at any time. First glance, it might not seem like much, but this is his most valuable ability, and it'll be the thing that separates a good Ymir from a bad Ymir. Ymir's second ability is a line of ice that slows enemies for 4 seconds for 35%. Ymir's third ability is a cone freeze that increases in duration and lowers the cooldown when you level it. Ymir's ultimate ability is called Shards of Ice. It's a large AoE slow that increases in damage as you charge it. You can reactivate this ability at any time to blow it up, and it'll blow up once the little circle reaches the corners. So when you're going to level Ymir, there's a few ways you can level throughout the game, and a lot of it depends on the enemy team comp. Whether or not they have a lot of jumps, a lot of mobility, ways to deal with your wall is the main thing you want to look for. If they do have a lot of ways to deal it, you don't want to level the wall or prioritize maxing the wall. If they don't have a lot of ways of dealing with it, obviously the wall will be more effective, and that's basically how you decide. But every game you're going to want to start with Glacial Strike, and then into Frost Breath, and then Ice Wall, get 1 point in each ability. I like to put a few points into Glacial Strike just so you can get a little bit of damage online, because at this point in the game, your teammates don't really have the damage, so even if you do wall someone off, they're not going to be able to follow up with very much, so you need to be doing damage yourself. At level 5, you get Shards of Ice, and I do put 1 more point into Glacial Strike, although you don't have to at this point, because your teammates are starting to get damage online. As a support, you're going to be a little bit farther behind, so when you're level 6, your teammates might be 7 or 8 even, and they'll have their first item online, maybe starting to work on their second, so they'll be able to follow up. At this point, I would prioritize Ice Wall, and at this point, I would get another point into Ice Wall, because at 4 points, you really start to feel the duration of the wall like really kick in, and if you catch someone out, your team will kill them if they hit their abilities. It is such a strong ability, and getting 4 points into it makes it last a very long time. At this point, you can start going into other stuff, or if you're still confident the other team's going to have a very difficult time dealing with your wall, you can put another point into it. I always max the wall, and then put a point into Frost Breath from here. This is the second ability I like to max. You can really level anything on Ymir, and it feels good, just because all of his abilities get such a good effect when you level him. Frost Breath increases in duration and decreases in cooldown as you level it, and Glacial Strike does so much damage that it feels good to level, and of course the wall increases in duration, decreases in cooldown, and then the ultimate's an ultimate, very good to level, but I prioritize Frost Breath next, and then Shards of Ice, then Glacial Strike. You can also funnel in your ultimate if you don't want to just focus on maximizing, because a lot of times I don't get much value out of Shards of Ice. If they do have mobility, everyone knows to get that's like a get out of there at any chance you get, so a lot of times you don't get value, but it's very good for objectives. So the ability that we're going to spend the most time on here is the wall. The wall is the biggest part of what separates a good Ymir from a bad Ymir. I was like, this is just a game of bots, but I just need the geography of the conquest map to kind of show this. So when you're going through choke points like this, the wall is pretty much designed to where it will perfectly block off the entire area. And what what a good Ymir is supposed to do is make you commit to a location and then cut you off. So characters without jumps, or when their jump is down, their movement ability is down, if you're walking up right here and the enemy's standing right here, walling them right here doesn't do much. They go right around here, and then they can walk this way, they can walk this way, they can walk this way, they can walk any way they want. That's not a good wall. It What you want to do is, so if you see them right here, your freeze alone will threaten them to where they have to do something. They will have to run away or they'll have to fight you. If they fight you, you freeze them and then you play it from there. But if they start running away, if they start running through this choke, don't even wall them once they get here. Wait until they are fully committed into this choke. So if you wall them right here, they have to now run all the way through here, which is about 2 seconds to get from here to here. And then they have an option to get all the way out. Whereas if you wait until they are all the way right here and you hit them with a wall here, 1, 2, 3, it increases artificially. Your wall is CC, and it will increase the duration of the time that they are CC'd. Being in a corridor like this when you are a squishy, when your teammates are right here, mages can throw abilities over the wall, hunters, assassins, anyone can get damage that can get damage onto this character. He is CC'd in this area. To utilize Ymir to his fullest, you need to know the geometry of the map, where the exits are, where the entrances are, what makes a character good in certain areas, and you need to focus on people without mobility. This CC not only locks down the person, but it also blocks people out. Even if a carry has a jump, they're not going to want to jump over your Ymir wall to start doing damage. It would put them in a bad position. So it blocks people out as much as it holds people in. The second tip is to be patient. I know a lot of times you'll see someone right here and you'll just throw out a wall real quick, but if you leave this little gap, your wall does almost nothing. You want to make sure your wall is flush with other walls so that there's no way around it, so that this entire area over here is blocked off. Having a bad wall and a good wall is the difference between winning a fight and you doing nothing as a character. So knowing where the traps are on the map, like this is a great example right here, where if a person commits to either side right here, blocking them here or here is a major inconvenience for them. Because if you have someone behind you and you block off this entrance, they have to now walk all the way back into danger, which is going to be into you or your mage or your hunter, and you will be able to absolutely fry them. So as you can see here, my Atlas is poked out, which means they're going to invade our red. I'm full health. I have no threat of dying to these two, so my job is just to lay right here. I use the wall. I actually break the wall right here because Yao Hong can actually go over the wall. He didn't know that, so I preemptively broke it, trying to get it back on cooldown as quickly as possible. So he could have just gone over it, but because he didn't know that, I broke it preemptively. But as you can see, my ADC can rotate to this if I can delay them long enough. Atlas is too low on HP, but if I can hold them here, so I continue chasing them, I freeze them, slow them, just keep putting in damage. I can see my Hoi Yi's on his way over at this point, so I ult to slow him down even more. It's a 40% slow. And I can see my walls coming off of cooldown in 5 seconds. So I slow him for as long as possible. It's not really important about getting the damage right there. It's just waiting until the last second to blow it up so that you get the slow for him as long as possible. As you can see, Hoi Yi's made it all the way over here because of how much I'm able to delay. And as we continue, he roots me in place, and he's committed. So he's committed to this region. Hoi Yi is right here. If he does not take this direct path right here, Hoi Yi will be able to catch him, and he will die. So I wall him off. His mobility has not come back off of cooldown yet. So this is an easy kill for Hoi Yi. Even if he misses the abilities, he's still going to be able to pick up the kill because Yu Hong has nowhere to go. And yeah. So this clip is right after our team fight, and this was where Ymir gets a little bit stronger because throughout the team fight, people split up. They're not as grouped, so you'll be able to isolate people more often. And as you can see, I'm low HP, so I have to be careful about my own life, but as a Guardian, you can still CC. As long as your carries are healthy, you should be around. And I hear Morgan stealth, and she goes on my carry. Now I forgot that it's support Morgan, so I did try to shell because I thought she was going to do a lot of damage, but she didn't. But I can't frontline. I'm at 600 HP. I do have my shell, but I have to be really careful here because they can kill me very quickly. So now we have Morgan, and the two carries are over here. Chartabus is obviously an ADC, and the bulk of her damage comes from her auto attacks. So walling her off blocks all of the damage. And not only this, but this is where Morgan wants to retreat to. Because Morgan wants to retreat that way, putting the wall up obviously forces her to have to go around this rock, which our Nemesis is coming back around and will give her time to kill. And it blocks off their damage for the most part. And because this wall, there are a lot of times where it looks like you can walk through it, but you can't. This is the best wall to get, although you should never try for it, because if they do slip through, then your wall is worthless, and it's not even necessary in a lot of situations. It just looks funny that she's trapped in that little corner. She has nowhere to go. She keeps trying to walk through it, but she can't make it. And the other two just leave because they know she's dead. So in this clip, you can see the Cladonia chasing. Hou Yi is obviously my main priority to protect. Yui Hong at this point is the biggest threat. Cladonia is very strong, but at some point you have to prioritize who's going to be a bigger threat. And Cladonia right now is focused on Atlas, so a lot of her abilities will be down. So stopping Yui Hong is my main goal. Hou Yi goes to help. So at this point, my only job is to keep Yui Hong out of range. His range is pretty limited compared to most mages, and keeping him as far away as possible is my goal, because right now Hou Yi, as a level 20 hunter, will shred Cladonia if left on his own, especially when Atlas is right there and she's trying to kill him. So I wall him off here. Now, obviously this isn't a great wall, but it leaves Hou Yi enough time to kill Cladonia while Yui Hong is unable to help. And then right here, I horrific and ult immediately, because like I said, Hou Yi is my priority. I'm trying to do everything I can to protect him. As you can see, Susanoo left alone. Level 18 Susanoo is not going to do much to a Hou Yi, and Yui Hong is backing up. So Susanoo, obviously too much mobility for us to catch. So we chase out here. We have RTO coming back into the fight. She should be able to lock down Yui Hong for long enough. I put a wall here, but Hou Yi is over here. We don't have enough damage to kill this Yui Hong. And I break the wall pretty quickly here, because at this point, if Hou Yi was to come around, he is on the wrong side of the wall, so the wall's not going to do anything. Even if I lock him in, I want him to go this way. So I break it to get it on cooldown as fast as possible. I continue hitting him. And then at this point, Hou Yi is pretty low. He's low on mana. And this is a full health Chartabus coming into the fight. She is very powerful, so I really want to disengage as quickly as possible. Susanoo also got out, so he could still be lurking around just in case. Really, we don't have anything to gain. We're at a disadvantage here, so we're just trying to get out. She immunes my slow with the sprint, and at this point I use the wall to block her, which denies any chase capabilities, and we just walk out from here. So as you can see, the game's not going very well for us right now, but they're deciding to invade our speed. So we get Ganesh caught out of position here. Pele's running away. Ganesh had already dashed, so I used my wall to block him. If you don't know, Ganesh dash goes through player-made walls. So using a wall, if he had dash up, would be pointless. But because it was down, I was able to wall him off. We're focusing on him. At this point, I thought Pele was just going to leave him to die. I was like, we have reinforcements coming back up, and they're in a bad position. She obviously comes back in, and we do know that she has ult, so she has kill potential on him, so I early shell him just to make sure he doesn't die. I'm ulting to keep him off, and at this point we have Alpwash coming from the left and Yui Hong coming from the bottom. This is when she starts to get in trouble, and I'm holding my wall for multiple reasons. The first reason is I want my teammates to get in range, and the second reason is because I want her to commit. Once she commits to either side, then I can get a better wall. If I put a wall here, then she still has her ult up and she can ult off to the side. So I'm waiting. I decide to freeze her. Yu Hong's now in position, and at this point, I knew she was going to ult because that's what any sensible person would do. She should have ulted sooner. I was holding my wall just in case she did, and so she gets locked into this little corner right here. It's always fun when you get to do that as Ymir. So in this situation, they've chased us down to our T2 tower. I was like, the game's not going very well for us, and we just got rolled in this fight. So they're chasing our Yuhong in between T1 and T2. And at this point, if they walk out, the fight's over. I was like, there's really nothing I can do. But they decide to stay. And this is Yuhong's fault. He's not doing anything. And at this point, I see my Mercury rotating, and of course he has ultimate. So one of the things Mercury's love to do is ult down the lane because it's so open. They can get a good ult off. So I'm just trying to bait at this point and hold them as close, as far away from here as possible so that they have to travel all the way across this, and he also gets a line of sight. It just keeps them away from safety longer if they have any reinforcements. We don't know if they do. Our coverage isn't very good on the map. So I'm just holding him here. I see Mercury about to ult, so I was going to freeze preemptively so he could hit his ult, but instead he ults and we overlap CCs, so he beats both of our CCs, and he overshot it by quite a bit. So now Yu Hong is trying to run into the jungle, and this is of course when I wall him. And Mercury is able to get a good dash off, and at this point he's just gonna die. I still have shell up. I was like, my wall lasts forever, and you can see he just runs into the wall because everyone expects it to go down. So in this clip, this is a good example of a real game situation in which angling the wall comes in handy. So as you can see, Yamoja's out of Omi, so she's not going to be able to 3 anymore. So I freeze her to set up an easy wall. I try not to wall my set off. He walked on this side to body block. Now my wall was going to do that, so I just wanted to make sure I wouldn't wall him off. So I angle my wall and then put myself up close enough against it to where she can't walk through this little gap, so she'll have to walk around me or around the wall. My wall could have been a little bit better if I put it more flush up against this and angled it in this way, but she had a little bit of DR on her, diminishing returns, so that my CC wasn't going to last as long. And I wanted to just, like, as long as I put in a little bit of CC, we have enough follow up to kill her. So I angled the wall, and she's forced to walk back this way. And obviously, that's right into all the damage for my team, so we kill her pretty easily. So in this clip, Poseidon is already screwed up. He's walking into the jungle with me right behind him. He just used his Kraken in mid lane and whiffed it completely, so he does not have that tool available to him. He's trying to go defend the red buff from Set, who's invading. He challenges this with me right next to him, and at this point, I'm looking to angle the wall. I wait for him to commit, and he keeps running because obviously it takes you a second to react to stuff. So it puts him right into this corner, which is where Set is, and as I said, he just used his ultimate on us in mid, and he used his 3 on the red buff, so he has no damage to keep us from killing him here, no CC or anything, and we just get a good kill on him. And this is like one of the benefits of angling, is you put them in a corner, versus if I had put it flush, so if I back it up for a sec, if I had positioned myself to go a little farther this way and then put it flat, maybe he jukes if your character, I was like, Set has pretty unmissable abilities, but if it's a if it's a skill shot heavy character, sorry, you want them to, obviously you want to minimize the possibilities for the Poseidon, so you want to lock them down, because at this point he has to go all the way around. I'm not sure if he can get through this gap, but we don't need him CC'd for that long, but he puts himself in this really bad position. He has nowhere to go. Now we're double body blocking him, so even if he tried to go out this way, he couldn't. He just dies. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you learned something that you hadn't known already, and see you.